evening.
We have breaking news.
Adrian Lim, a temple medium.
2 women, his wife Catherine Tan Mui Chu
And his mistress, Ho Ka Hong,
have been convicted of the abduction
and killing of 2 young children.
The court described the acts as ritualistic in nature.
All 3 have been sentenced to death in 1983.
Tonight, they await execution.
Dear Catherine, it's been 37 long years. Your first letter to me, you wrote, Sister Gerard, how can you love me when I have been doing such bad things? I did love you. I loved you as my pupil, and later on, as the years passed, I loved you as a friend, right to the end of your death. Rest well, Catherine, in the arms of Jesus and Mother Mary. Love you, Sister Mary Gerard. Catherine was my first death row inmate. So I used to visit her every week for 7 years. I started way back in 1977. I was in my 30s when I started visiting the prisons, and I started the Roman Catholic prison ministry. So we got passes to visit the criminal side. And just as we got them, this case came up in 1983. We were shocked because we knew Catherine so well. She was in our vocational home in Marymount. She was a very good girl, no problems at all with behavior, but she got into the wrong company. That's how she met Adrian. Her life just ended in a mess. I thought when the death sentence was pronounced that they would hang them immediately. So I sat down and wrote a letter to her, and the letter was given to her, and she responded for 6 months after. When I got that letter, I just opened it and looked at the last line, which said, "Your black sheep, Catherine," and I immediately knew who the letter was from. Then she asked to see me, and I was given the permission by the prisons.
In her final days, what emotions did Catherine express?
She knew what she had done was wrong, very, very wrong. She asked forgiveness of everyone that she had hurt. Once she was able to do that, she was free. You could see the change in her. Happy, always smiling. And there's so much of joy on the morning of their hanging, because there's no more fear. They are full of this, the knowledge that, yes, I'm going to a better place. Normally, I think the very first woman that was hanged, she went in a prison garb, you know. The prison officers were very kind to me. When I asked them if I could dress the 2 girls up, they gave me the permission. So I got one of the sisters to make 2 beautiful light blue dresses with a sash. It was so lovely to see them like, real women. When Catherine put on her dress, she put on the sash and she said to me, "How do I look? Should the sash be this way or that way?" Really, it was so human. There was no necessity for it, but I wanted to do that. These were my girls, and I wanted to do that for them. At the very end, when they were going, I asked if I could put a rosary in their hands. They asked for their favorite hymns, their favorite prayers. For Catherine, it was the beautiful hymn, "How Great Thou Art." So we sang that and we prayed the rosary as we walked to the hanging chambers.
But it being your very first time, was it a difficult moment for you?
I don't know where I got the strength from. It's a vocation in itself to have the courage and strength to be able to walk with them. The hanging chambers in those days is such that we knelt outside, but they could hear us singing and praying. Kneeling there, I knew when they were gone, when the lever was pulled. Everything is done perfectly so that it's instant death. It's like a glimpse of eternity. I think my calling began very early in life. I was only about 6 years old, and my dad was very particular about the way we spoke. So every morning, my elder brother and sisters would have to recite a phonetic verse to pronounce all the words and so that we speak English well. The passage he chose was, "I commit you to Sing Sing prison, there to be hanged, drawn, and quartered." And I used to listen to my brother and my two sisters, and I said, I don't like those words. When it came to my turn to stand up there and say this verse, I didn't. I stood up there and said a prayer to Mother Mary, "Hail, Holy Queen," the whole prayer by heart. So my father was so taken up by me, he forgot about Sing Sing prison. And I believe that my vocation 36 years later to walk with death row inmates began there. It's not easy to walk with death row inmates. You build up relationships with these inmates. You get to love them, and then you have to face death with them. So it can be psychologically and emotionally quite draining. For myself, I had my community to come back to and talk to them. I had the strength from my faith, and I was able to help these inmates face their death.
Some people would argue that the murderers deserve the death penalty because of how horrific the crimes were. What would you say to that?
I've met people say, "Oh, they should go to hell like that." And I respect their opinions because they're angry with what had been done. But when a murderer can say, "I am sorry for what I've done," and have a priest absolve that person, it's a great feeling. One person is more precious than a whole world. That's my belief, and that's what I live for, to help others. When I think of the death penalty, although I am against it, I respect the laws of our country. I think of the other side. The law has caught up with them. This is their punishment, and I have to help them to be able to accept that death.
How has your experience with death row inmates shaped the way you view life and death and your own mortality?
When I speak of my own death, I always ask the Lord to keep me peaceful and not afraid. Everyone is afraid of death. I'm afraid of death, but I ask for that. I said, don't let me be afraid, because I know you'll be there with me. Having seen them go peacefully, I would like that also for myself. A peaceful death without any fear. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou